Good morning, and thank you so much for joining us right here on your favorite program. This is the Mid-Morning Pack. Of course, this is your weekly show every Wednesday from 10:30 to 12, where we bring you weighty matters in the country, in our counties, that is 47 counties, and of course, in our society, and try to look at these particular issues, try to discuss them, try to make sense of them. And as usual, my name is Mangicho Mola, and on the other side is Paul Kagi. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Mangicho? How is your Wednesday?
I'm doing fine, and it's a very good opportunity again to see you this week on the Mid-Morning Pack. I hope you're also doing fine.
Yeah, right. And good morning, viewer, wherever you are. Welcome to this program as we put light on various matters that has been taking front in our country for the last 1 week. And welcome again. My name is Paul Kagi.
Yes, and of course, today we want to look at a story and a subject that has hit the headlines in the last 2 days. Actually, this is what is going to form the basis of our conversation in the Mid-Morning Pack, and we'll be looking at the nullification of the CAS's positions by the High Court. We saw that particular ruling, I think it was the day before yesterday, and of course this is something that has actually elicited mixed reactions across the country. And today we just want to look at what are some of the impact, or what are going to be some of the effects of this particular ruling. Of course, we have some of the leaders from Kenya Kwanza side who have already threatened that they are going to appeal that particular ruling. So we are waiting maybe for them to go to the Court of Appeal. So are there going to be any changes? But then we have a history in this particular country where the courts make rulings and they make judgments only for those who are in leadership to fail to obey or abide by those particular rulings or those particular judgments. How is it going to be this time round? Will the executive show by and lead by example and actually maybe obey that particular ruling so that those CSs that were formed that were appointed are not going to be in the office? That is something that we are waiting to see. And of course, we'll have a guest today in this particular set. That is Dr. Michael Ndonye. He's a lecturer and also a political analyst who will help us to look at some of the impact or what we are expecting as a result of this particular ruling. You can stay tuned for that. And of course, we always want you to join us and interact with us in our conversation. Of course, we don't want you to be left out. And you have a question that we are asking you. The question that we are asking you in this particular conversation today is, do you support High Court ruling to declare CSS positions unconstitutional? Do you support the High Court ruling to declare the CSS position unconstitutional? You can begin to give us your reflections on this particular subject. You know the drill. Catch us on our social media pages. We have a Facebook, that is MBCI TV. You can catch us live on that particular page. And of course, you can also catch us live on our YouTube page, that is MBCI TV Official. And we also have another channel that you can use, that is our shortcut platform, 23814. Drop a comment or two regarding this particular matter. And of course, we'll appreciate to also see what are some of your input as far as this particular discussion is concerned. But of course, Kagi, quite a number of other issues making headlines across this particular week.
Yes, correct, Mangicho. And one of the main issues that we want to look at is the issue of matatu fares. We are now aware that after the implementation of the Finance Bill 2023, partly, not all of them, is that the fuel prices were increased 2 days ago. And as we're speaking right now, the Matatu Owners Association has declared that they are going to hike the fare maybe between 10, 20 to 30%. And in some areas, it was effective by yesterday. And they are saying that they have no choice because even though the court stopped the implementation of the Finance Bill 2023, the fuel regulators decided to go ahead and hike the prices on the tax from 8 to 16%, which has really affected the fares on major towns in the city operations and also in long distance places. And therefore, they have given a notice to the public: if you are traveling from one location to the other, whether it's city services or town services, or from one town to the other, long distance, you have to add more in your pocket between 100 and 200. For example, those who are traveling from Nairobi heading to the western region, or coastal region, by yesterday, their fare was increased by 200 shillings.
Yes.
And we are also expecting the ripple effect of this implementation of the fuel hike in our supermarkets. You know, even though it has started being felt, but not yet. We expect by the end of this week, we are going to see more changes on our foodstuffs in our shelves in the supermarkets. So it's a double blow to the public because of the, you know, you need to travel when you're coming to work, whether you are using matatu or using your own vehicle. Everybody is on the wrong side of his pocket, right?
Yeah, I think that is a major story, and I think Kenyans, a majority of Kenyans are really angry, or they are really feeling disappointed because already some of them are actually feeling the pinch of the hard economic times. Now, this is like adding now salt to an injury that is already there. And of course, I don't know what I don't know what maybe the government will do as a result of this, but actually this is really going to be burdensome to majority of Kenyans who use of public means. Okay, when you're talking about matatus, I think a very big percentage of Kenyans actually use matatus to actually get into their places of work. And I saw something interesting, Kagi. I think it was yesterday or the day before yesterday. Member of Parliament for Langata. He was in the streets of Nairobi, I think, in his constituency, paying fare for his constituents. But now what Kenyans were asking is that how was that going to be sustained?
Yes.
Okay, because when you pay for them maybe just once, so what do you expect them to do tomorrow? And so, some people are actually wondering, is that the caliber of leadership that we really want?
Yeah, you know, they are the ones who, it was also, I saw the clip and I was also asking myself a question. How comes that you are part and parcel of the MPs who okayed the implementation of the Finance Bill 2023?
Yes.
Again, you go to the streets and start paying for their fare. I don't know, it's a bit ironical, you know? You see, again, there's one question, Mangicho, I'm asking myself. We are aware that the Finance Bill 2023 was stalled by the courts.
Yes.
It cannot be implemented for now as the case continues. But I was asking myself, was the fuel tax increase a subsidiary of the Finance Bill 2023, that when the court stopped the implementation of the Finance Bill 2023, the fuel section was not part of the Finance Bill? Again, if it was part of the Finance Bill, I think court should act for ignoring the court ruling. Yeah.
And of course, as you say, Kagi, because I had also the senator for Busia, the activist, the famous activist that is Okia Omtato Koiti. He actually said that he is going to take this particular Energy and Petroleum Regulation, I think, Commission, EPRA, to court for actually failing to obey the court ruling on the finance, or on the Finance Bill 2023 that has actually now become law. But since the courts actually decided to make a ruling against the implementation of that particular law, the senator was very categorical that therefore there was nothing that was expected. Like, for example, the action, that particular action that was taken by EPRA to actually go and increase the price of petrol.
Yeah, and I think Omutata is not the one who's supposed to go and maybe sue the EPRA for maybe working against the court ruling. I think court itself should stand out and maybe summon the EPRA for ignoring its own ruling, right? But anyway, let's wait and see how it is going to work out.
Sure.
Yeah, yesterday there was an exercise at Londiani whereby 50+ people died through a road accident. And yesterday there was a memorial service to pray for the families of the 50 people who died. And one of the things that came out yesterday was Murkomen's maybe
some kind of reforms.
Yes, reforms in the transport sector.
Yes.
And he reminded us of the Mishoki's time when Mishoki introduced the governors and also the seat belts. And he is saying Mishoki introduced governors and the safety belts, and now I'm going to introduce cameras in both PSV and other kind of vehicles, both in the front and the back of the vehicles. And he was saying it is costing around 30,000 shillings.
Okay.
I don't know how effective it is, but we can support him if it is going to help us to reduce the amount of road accident we are experiencing per week. We support him, and we believe also it is going to put into check rogue drivers on our roads.
I agree with you, Kagi, because actually research has been done previously in this particular country, and it has been shown that a very great percentage of the accidents that we witness in our public roads is caused by recklessness. Okay? That is just a sheer recklessness by most of our drivers. So I think when the CS comes maybe with some of these kind of proposals to have some reforms in the matatu sector, maybe they are going to help. But I think more so now we really have to look into how is it that each and every one of those who are actually concerned or involved in this particular industry to just have a change of mindset, maybe a change of character, okay? Because even as we talk about the good Mishuki rules, but Kage, you'll agree with me that if you are even traveling by matatu today, not so many of these passengers actually put on the seatbelts.
Yeah.
So, and we will still see some of these matatus actually carrying more passengers than maybe they are actually supposed to be able to carry. And now you see, one of the challenges is that you cannot maybe have a government officer or maybe a security officer or a traffic officer for that particular matter to be able maybe to man each and every vehicle at each and every particular time. So I think change of attitude, change of character is very, very important in maybe streamlining and making sure that our roads are safe. But there is this particular recommendation, Kagi, that was also, or actually, I don't know whether it's a recommendation or actually maybe it was
just a proposal.
It was a proposal, or actually, something like that, that was given by the CAs, that all those who do businesses, okay, I think actually it's like a directive that was given that all those who do businesses along the roadsides, they are going to be stopped from doing that until the government maybe sets some other places that maybe they consider not to be very, very risky in terms of maybe preventing accidents is concerned.
Yeah.
But I was really wondering, how is this really going to affect, and we know the number of Kenyans that are actually doing businesses and actually fending for their families in these particular places on a daily basis.
Yes, it's a good directive, but also implementations will be an upper hill because if you look at some centers, they have a very huge business. They are really employing many people. And how long is it going to take to look for a land? Because he was saying we are going to look for a land in the interior, and then we are going to create a road for you. How long is it going to take? How effective is it going to be to you? For example, those people who buy items on the roads are the travelers, either by PSV and such kind of things. I think it's a good directive, but they need to really look at it in a more broad way,
exactly,
not to affect those vendors.
Yeah, and also ask where are they going to take the vendors. Like in the case of Londiani, it was quite interesting and quite maybe unfortunate also because the accident happened on, I think it was on Friday evening, and Monday morning,
business as usual.
They had gone back to that particular place. Yes. Just imagine in a place, in a location where more than 50 lives have been lost. But these people are still going back. You can't blame them because they are actually asking themselves, if we don't go back there, what are we going to eat in the evening? That is how serious our economic times actually are.
Right, and finally, Mangicho, there are two questions on this matter. Number one, if we are going to implement these proposals, for example, putting cameras on our vehicles, are we not opening an avenue for our traffic police officers to corrupt more? And how are we going to manage that? You know, for example, if you are driving from here to Mombasa or from here to Kisumu or Nyeri, and then you are caught over speeding, you know what happens? You either go to court or you do a backseat talk with the officers. Maybe it's going to open a more avenue for them to do their stuff. Number two, through the implementation, there's one issue I think, Mangicho, you can also maybe concur with me. I have really observed for several years, most of the accidents that happen in our country, I think 80% there must be a lorry involved. We are talking about checking our matatus, our PSV, or blah, blah. but no one talks about how to control the lorries, right?
Yes.
And I think it's time again we come and look for a way to be able to counter-check these lorries, because I think almost every accident in the ratio of maybe 5:1, where there is one accident, 5 are involving a lorry. And I think it's time has come to also try to look for a way to manage these lorries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That one is very much agreed. And maybe just before we introduce our guest for this particular show, there is another story, Kagi, about you remember the bipartisan talks that were bringing the side of government and also the side of Azimio.
Yes.
It's like now these particular talks are actually on the total collapse after the Azimio side failed to go for these particular talks. They were actually supposed to continue this particular week. The Kenya Kwanza side had already gone to the venue, only for the Azimio side not to show up. And each side is blaming the other side for not being sincere in this talk. So we are wondering, between Azimio and Kenya Kwanza, who is not sincere?
Yeah, and one matter that the Kenya Kwanza said yesterday, because Azimio have boycotted the talks,
Yes.
The government is going to continue trying to source for the IEBC commissioners.
Yes.
It has taken long. And then Azimio is saying there's no way. This is not an Azimio exercise. This is an exercise for all stakeholders. We must be involved in trying to get the real guys to be able to manage our elections, right? And therefore, as we're saying, I think the talks are on the dead bed.
Well, whether they'll be resurrected is maybe a matter to wait and see. Let's introduce our guest now at this particular stage. That is Daktari Michael Ndonyi. He's a lecturer and also a political analyst. Karibu sana, Daktari. Good to see you. Good morning.
Morning to you. Good to see you too.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yes.
And thank you to meet you again. I think you are doing well.
Wow.
Yep.
You're also doing fine. It's a pleasure to have you this morning in this particular show. Now, Daktari, I know the main conversation is about the CSS positions. And I think in our previous shows, when you also a guest in this particular set, we talked about, but now there is this particular action or ruling that has been made by the court. And we want to look maybe what are some of the consequences, what are some of the implications of that particular judgment. But before that, I think, what do you make of maybe what we are saying is, or what we've witnessed maybe in the transport sector, and also the consequences, the impact of the finance bill, the increase of fares?
Yeah, thank you very much, Magicho and Kagi. I think there is a lot that meets the eye. First of all, let me begin with the issue of increasing the prices. I think there must have been something that was not clear in the finance bill that was touching on the issue of fuel. And because of that, I think EPRA is using a kind of a loophole actually to implement their increases of prices, actually even before the finance bill is in place. Even when it has been stopped by the court. So I think you remember there was that time in 2022 when there was that approval by the parliament, and I think it was parliament or approved, or it was administrative, that there was set a date that was, I think it was 14th of every month, when the prices of fuel were going up. They were being reviewed every month. I think they still use that. And that is why maybe we are likely to see a kind of a disagreement on that when it comes to law. Now, on the issue of the CS Murkomen, I don't know how cameras are going to help us. I don't think that thing had any, the accident that happened in Rodiani. First of all, why did it happen? And as you're asking about, as Mwalim Kagi is talking about the issue of trucks, what was the cause of that accident? Was it the matatu or it was the truck?
Yeah.
Actually, this case around, it was the truck itself.
The truck itself.
Brake failure.
So you are trying to solve that by putting cameras on matatus. How does that connect? You see, now that's the problem we usually have. Because what we are doing, we are creating now business for some cartels to bring cameras.
You know the black box for aeroplanes? The black box.
I know.
So maybe this is a new black box for
But the accident was caused by a truck, not the matatu.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no way you can blame. You can blame your laundry person for a mistake of a supermarket. You understand?
Yes, yes.
You get caught in a supermarket, you get caught in the street, then you shift the blame to the. I think they are totally misplaced.
You're saying this is going to be an avenue for
for cartels now to bring now the cameras,
yes.
and I know some people now are already forming companies for that. So I don't think that is a good decision.
It was quite a reactionary kind of
it was a reaction.
decision. Yeah.
I don't think it is going to go anywhere. I don't think it is going to help. I think what they need to do is what Kagia said. Let them first of all analyze accidents
Yes.
and what most causes accidents.
Accidents,
And as he has
exactly.
said, in many accidents that are happening today, a truck is involved. What can they do with that?
With that, yeah.
So if they are putting cameras, let them put cameras on the trucks. Yeah, because the trucks, are they checked for mechanical, do they have mechanical checks?
No, they don't.
Exactly.
They fail the brakes, they come, they soup even matatus and people and that kind of a thing. Of course, this issue of people selling, doing business along the road, there is nothing the government can do about it. Those are the hustlers, they give them votes. They are hustling.
But they now want the government.
Kazi ni kazi.
The government wants them out.
I think that was the slogan. Kazi ni kazi. So they should actually find some ways of ensuring that those people are safe, whatever they are doing business, and at the same time, because those people have not caused accidents, even if they were not there, that truck would have had the mechanical issues, it would have rammed cars, they would be passing there.
And I think what Dr. is saying is very critical, Kagi, because I think where we need to be as a country is where we look at something and give it enough time to be able maybe to ponder what maybe are some of the issues surrounding this particular problem. Maybe it's not very important maybe, or maybe to look into an issue just because maybe you want to be seen, because you are now in authority. You just make hasty decisions. Just to be seen that there is this particular crisis or there is this particular issue that has arisen. This is how we are fixing it.
Exactly. And then the last is now the issue of adding prices, fuel prices. Surely, if you look at the average addition of the fuel, is around 14 shillings to 15 shillings per litre. How is someone adding 200 shillings per passenger?
Is it too
Or
much?
even 100 shillings? It's much. That is a lot.
Actually, yeah.
There is no way fuel can increase by 15 shillings. For example, just do your own math.
Yeah, because the Matatus have said they landed the fares by 30%.
Yes, 30%.
Yeah.
So 30%. So if maybe you're traveling, like for those who are moving from Nakuru to Eldoret, they pay 500.
Yeah,
So
but
they're
even
going to add 200 on top.
yeah, but even now, even the finance bill is adding by 16%. Why are you adding by 30%? That's the thing. Even the ratios and percentages themselves, they don't make sense.
Don't add up.
So even actually, what we are seeing is that some people exploiting also, especially the matatu operators, exploiting the situation. And they make it even worse. Actually, that is a silent form of a cartel, whereby you are traveling from here to Joro, for example, you were paying 50 bob. Fuel per liter has been added by 10 bob, and then you are added as a passenger, single passenger, 50 bob. Actually, they will find themselves doing more profit, actually making more profit than before. They will be happier. That means that's another kind of a cartel that we are encouraging if the government is not going to regulate by how much percentage are these people allowed to hike the fares.
I think that is what we are lacking, as you have just said. It's going to open an avenue for the cartels. I think the finance bill ought to have come up with some regulations to be able to manage every sector that ought to be able to increase its services or maybe products because of the effects of finance bill 2023.
Yeah.
For example, the manufacturers of sugar, because there's no regulation, if they decide the kilogram of sugar is going to move from 200 to 250, who is there to stop them? There is no law. there's no policy.
Yes.
I think the finance bill ought to have provided a way to manage everybody. As Matatu Owners Association yesterday, they said they involved everybody, the stakeholders, but they came up with their own way of managing their fare. And the Ministry of Transport is not even bothered.
Somebody will be asking which passengers were included in that.
And which actually, because what we have in Kenya,
No
one of the problems we do not have, we lack is what we call consumer protection. We have a department that should deal with consumer protection, but they are totally asleep. They don't care. So if you ask them whom they involved, they will tell you a representative from consumer protection was there. And if you go behind, you realize the person was given maybe tea, and they continue like that. Actually, I don't think they will actually be happy if that fuel goes back.
So Dr. Ari, what you're saying is that even though we might now hear some of these Matatu stakeholders saying that this is also going to be very painful to them, but it's like they are also forming their own way to make sure that they manage the situation, but the ultimate person to suffer is a passenger.
Yeah, they are benefiting. The passenger and now will have the ripple effect. Yeah, everything now will go up.
Yesterday I was traveling somewhere and I came across, I used yesterday a tuk-tuk going somewhere. And
They've also increased some fares.
Yes, and they were saying, it was very interesting, they had a very nice placard, not placard, but a notice there. The fare hike, one was heading up to 80 shillings. I was really shocked.
From how much?
It was not a long distance, but one of the caution they gave to the travelers, hakuna stage ya 20 bob.
That means it increased from the least from 20. So the least ni stage ya pesa ngapi? 30 bob. That is actually 30% increase. And if you look at that, then you realize we have no proportional way of doing things. And so some of the problems even the government is creating, they are also being created by the players in the market. And because, as I have said, we lack consumer protection. If we had consumer protection, there would be a regulation. You remember in the 1990s, there was a time when even some government agents would come to Anduka, try to buy sugar, and see whether it is being overpriced, or even when the scale is not working. No one today checks the scales.
Wow.
Yeah, we had a very good price controls by the government.
No one checks the scale. Someone will just anachukua kikombe, just chota some sugar, and then you are told this is a kilo.
Others are using 1 kilo of dengu, and then they are balancing with a kilo of
So we need to awaken as a country the consumer protection department.
Exactly.
And it is widely spread.
Very important. I want us to take a short break, but we'll be coming back, Daktari, now with our main area of conversation, and that is to do with the High Court's ruling on the CSS positions. And remember, we are still inviting your contribution to interact with us in this particular conversation about the nullification of the CSS positions by the High Court. I think it happened on Monday. And the question that we are asking you, do you support the High Court's ruling that the CSS positions are unconstitutional? If you're supporting, you can actually support or why you've taken that particular line. If you're not supporting, also tell us why you have those kind of thoughts. And of course, we'll appreciate some of your opinions even as we continue with this particular discussion. You're having Dr. Michael Ndonye, is a lecturer and also a political analyst, joining us today in the mid-morning pack. We take a short breather. We are coming back after a short break.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Woman of God Apostle Catherine Wangari and the Suitable Helpers invites you to a 3-day prayer summit themed Skillful Wailing, coming together to pray for the nation and the world, happening from 6th to 8th of July 2023 at the KICC, Nairobi, Kenya. Invited women of God Pastor Peace Begumisa from Uganda, Prophetess Comfort Selewa from South Africa, Pastor Faith Mbugwa and Pastor Julia Karanja from Kenya will minister in this 3-day prayer summit. Sessions will run from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. daily, streamed live on YouTube and Facebook handles Catherine Wangare / Suitable Helpers. Jeremiah chapter 9 verse 17. This is what the Lord Almighty says. Consider now, call for the wailing women to come. Send for the most skillful of them. Don't miss this Suitable Helpers 3 days prayer summit from 6 to 8 July at the KICC. For booking and further inquiries, contact 0726 381 971 or 0112 879 636 or email apostlecathleenwangare@gmail.com. Plan to attend.
Are you tired of searching for the perfect hardware and interior decor solution? Look no further. Introducing Roomish Hardware and Interiors, your one-stop destination for all your hardware needs, right here in Nakuru City. At Roomish Hardware and Interiors, we pride ourselves in offering a wide range of high-quality hardware products, from door and window accessories, plumbing and gutter accessories, sanitary wares, kitchen accessories, power tools, marble boards. We have it all. Whether you are a homeowner, a fundi, or a professional contractor, we have the right tools and materials for your project. But that's not all. Roomish Hardware and Interiors is more than just a store. Our team of knowledgeable experts is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. Need advice on which tank to buy or brand of cement? We've got you covered. And the best part? Roomish Hardware and Interior offers competitive prices that won't break the bank. So, why wait? Visit Roomish Hardware and Interiors today and discover the ultimate hardware shopping experience in Nakuru, conveniently located at Lower Bedi Road to serve you better. Roomish Hardwares and Interiors, your hardware solution in Nakuru.
MBCI Television, transforming lives.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Mid-Morning Pack. We are glad that you're still having and finding time to be with us in today's conversation. On set, we also have a guest, that is Dr. Michael Ndonye, a lecturer and also a political analyst. Our topic of discussion today is the nullification of the CSS position by the High Court. This is a ruling that actually elicited mixed reactions across the country. Of course, majority of those who are pro-government saying or arguing that that was not a favorable judgment by the High Court. But of course, we also have those who are anti-government who also think that the High Court actually made a favorable ruling. But of course, where is the center? Especially even maybe when we look at the importance or actually even maybe the significance of these particular positions. This is the discussion that we are having. Later on, we'll also have our reporter Vincent Kimutai giving us also the perspectives of Kenyans across the streets on what they also think about this particular judgment. And of course, continue also sharing with us your feelings on the same. Our shortcut platform, that is 23814. Our social media pages are wide open. Our Facebook page, that is MBCI TV, and YouTube, that is MBCI TV Official. Continue dropping a comment or two. Now, Daktari, maybe if just as we begin, I don't know, what was your reading of this particular judgment, especially putting into context that this was a very high number of these particular individuals that were given these particular positions, and of course most Kenyans believing that it was as a result of the loyalty that they had paid to the government led by President William Ruto.
Okay, thank you, Magicho. And I remember we were here last time.
Yes.
Immediately those people were appointed, we were here. And we foresaw this thing. And the issue is there was no one to go to court until now the Law Society of Kenya and the Katiba Institute decided now to initiate such a legal action to sue the government for appointing the CSs, 50 of them, without public participation, without due actually process of the law. Because that is what, if you go back to 2020, was it 2017, 2018, when the 23 CSs were appointed,
right,
there was public participation. Okay. And therefore, because of that, it was now legal and constitutional for now the president to appoint 23 CSs. Now, the president appointed 50 of them.
Yes, that is more than double.
Actually, 27 extra is from the 23 which are allowed. Actually, in these 50, there are 23 whose appointment is constitutional. And there is 27 whose appointment, actually addition, is not constitutional. And because the government did not do the public participation as per the constitution. So we expected that. It was something that was expected. And I'm telling you that case was so easy, even if it was taken to a moot court. If you know a moot court is actually established by schools that teach law for students to discuss, to do mock and practicals of, even if it was taken to a moot court, to interpret the 2010 constitution in Kenya is so easy, such that any president, any leader who decides now to circumvent the constitution, they will be ashamed. But
Daktari, is it really possible that the president maybe had not anticipated this kind of ruling?
He did. He did.
He did.
He did, because he saw what this constitution did to President Uhuru Kenyatta. He saw the BBI, how it went.
Yes.
BBI did not fail because President Ruto, then the deputy president, was against it. Yes. It was the issue of law. It was the issue of interpreting the constitution. And the constitution we have is very simple, very straightforward, and self-defensive.
So if you had actually anticipated this, Daktari, is it therefore a scenario of, yes, once they rule it the way they have ruled it, those who have been appointed will not see me as a problem. They'll blame the court. Does it mean that he has not exonerated himself if this 52 will now be rendered jobless?
To me, I think, politically speaking, President Ruto did not learn from Uhuru Kenyatta. President Ruto thought maybe Uhuru Kenyatta was not smart enough to use politics to go against the constitution. That is what I think. And actually, you are going to see, if they proceed now to the Supreme, to the Court of Appeal, it will be even messy. Actually, they should not proceed. What they should do is to find some other places and place these 27 people.
I hear they are scrambling for the diplomats' jobs.
Yeah, no, now they can go for those.
There are very few.
But anything constitutional, let me tell you, according to the ruling, if you read the ruling, this one that was actually passed by these three judges.
Yes.
There are even contradictions. They are saying, number one, you added the 27. You did not do public participation. At least for the 23, there was some public participation. Number two, the Public Service Commission advertised for these positions. You did not state how many are required. You just gave an open advertisement.
Okay.
You did not state how many were needed.
Is that the reason why the High Court decided, therefore, to render
all of them actually now all of them
Yes.
now illegal because
there are those who would have expected, or there are those who had thought that maybe the High Court would have said the first or maybe the 23.
yeah, if they had stated that we need 50 in the advertisement, because that was actually illegal in itself. You cannot advertise a job and you don't tell people how many do you want. There was no such kind of a thing. Then, in another thing you realize now, who are these CSs? According to court, the ruling that ruling is that a CS is actually supposed to be the boss of PS. Even their salary is supposed to be higher.
The CSs.
But that is not the case. 2, according to the Constitution, there are 2 CSs, 22 CSs. How are they going to be deputized by 50? It means each CS has 2 deputies, and we have 6 remainders. That means there are 6 departments or state departments which are going to have 3 CSs. 6, they have 3 CSs. How are they going to work? What is their job description?
Yes.
How are they equal? 3 people, 1 position. How are they equal? Even when they are 2. Does it mean even in Kenya in future we can have 3 deputy presidents? Yeah, because that is the same thing. We can have actually 3 deputy presidents. Is that what? So this thing, all of this thing, I think President Ruto did not think much about it. And his administration or his advisors did not advise him well. And I would not even advise them to go to Court of Appeal because it will go nowhere.
Maybe before Kagi comes in, maybe one of the things that many Kenyans want to know, as we speak, those 52 CSs are not in office or are not supposed to be in office.
They are not earning. They are not, actually it was stopped by the court. They are not supposed to earn. They are not supposed to earn any benefit.
They have not earned since they were appointed?
Actually, by...
or by Monday, when the ruling was made?
If you go by the, actually, it was stopped a long time ago. They are not supposed
but
to
they've been in
office.
Benefits.
They are in offices and actually they are calling themselves assistant cabinet secretaries. And the court really said...
But none of them has taken salary home.
I think they have been taking salaries. I think.
Yeah, but it has not been maybe open. Because I remember there was a time they started reporting to the office, and the issue really brought a lot of heat.
Yeah.
That there's a case in court, they have been stopped from operating, but some are reporting in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, as we continue, away from the court issue, assume the court okayed the appointment of the CSs. Would you think they would have be of great importance to the running of the government? Because 2 months ago, the president, as I was checking, he said that I need more workers because of the agenda I have for Kenya. I need more hands. I need more brains. Because the deputy president is sleeping in the office, the prime cabinet secretary is sleeping in the office. So I need more people to come and help him to be able to achieve the agenda for the government. Away from the court matter, if they are in the office, do you think they would have been of great benefit to the agenda for the government?
Yeah, of course. Of course, workers are needed everywhere. They will add value to the government. It is okay. It is okay to have many people working because it means the output will be. So they would have, if the president followed the due process, there would be no problem. Remember, actually the court did not say that these people are useless, they do not have something to contribute. They just said, yes, you appointed them, but it is contravening the constitution. And the law of land, if it is contravened, we set a bad precedence. Just that.
And what is this due process? Because already the constitution has really declared who is a cabinet secretary, how many should we appoint. What is the other due process to be able to have these CSs?
It's because now the administration, the regime has some leeway to create actually, I think they call them, what do they call them? They're actually administrative positions. Okay. Like you remember the 23 CSs, they are not, they are the CSs. They are not in the constitution. But the government can go follow the due process, do public participation, and justify through parliament that these people are actually needed. And if they follow that, that is why they were okayed and they were given 23 CASs.
Okay.
They are not in the constitution. So the issue is, why didn't you follow the constitution? And that was also the issue with BBI. It was a good document. It's a good document. But the constitution is not an opinion to bring wisdom. We don't work with wisdom. You know, someone was saying, Ruto used wisdom to appoint, to add, blah, blah, blah. But we use the constitution. We don't use wisdom. It's not a matter of...
That is very interesting.
It can be a very wise decision. But unless it is within the law,
yes,
the law will not accept.
Yeah, because there has been reports indicating actually what Dr. was saying, that if maybe he would have acted in line with the constitution, maybe things would have actually been well, and that the roles that the CSs have actually been given, one can actually argue that yes, those roles they're important. For example, they're saying that the cabinet secretary is supposed to be there for matters on oversight, then the PS, or actually now what we call the principal secretaries, to do what we call the accounting roles. Now the CS is to do with what we call now the mainly on the service delivery. But now looking at now this particular action, and of course we've not had the president maybe react on this particular ruling or say anything. Do you expect that he's really going to maybe to say anything? Do you really expecting maybe to react to this particular ruling? Of course, most Kenyans have also been waiting to see how important it is going to be for him to lead by example by actually obeying the court ruling. But we have a system, we have a history of this particular country where courts have given rulings only to be defied by those in authority.
Yeah, the courts, the politicians can defy courts, court rulings, those regards criminal cases, but constitutional is hard. Because this constitution is a self-defense, and I can tell you, they can run away from other cases. But when it comes to issue of constitutionalism, constitutionality of a matter, there is even the judges themselves. Let me tell you, even the judges themselves, they have nothing else. They had nothing else they could do. Even if they want, the judges, even if they want, they can do nothing about anything that regards constitution. The constitution, when it spells itself, it is final. Unless the due process is followed, final. You remember the other CSs even, because one of the issue is in the order of the way these CSs are appointed. If the due process was to be followed, they were supposed to be vetted by parliament. These were not vetted. So who vetted them? And you remember even yesterday, the judiciary issued a notice because a reporter in a certain media tried to say that the judiciary actually saw in the CSs. It was not true. So there is no way, actually, even the judiciary could go and swear those people. There was no actually legal basis for them to do that. So the judiciary was not involved even in swearing.
So that basically means that we are not even sure how competent
Parliament,
some of these CSs
they never went through parliament. A PS, a CS, those are actually sworn in by the judiciary. These are not sworn by judiciary. They are not vetted by parliament. So who are they?
Most of them are considered to have been
so
as we continue with that, there's another issue that is cooking regarding to the so-called the intruders in the cabinet. And there is a court case which is ongoing because of the 4 guys who are in cabinet. I don't know what is the take on that, whether they're going to follow suit.
The Cleophas Malala, there is David Ndi, and I think
Zuma.
2 more.
That lady.
Yeah.
Of course, those are actually PSs without portfolio. If you remember Tunju, Tunju was CS, he was called someone without a portfolio. But he never went to
cabinet meetings.
Cabinet meetings. I don't think that will bring a lot of issues, because now it is the cabinet belongs to the president. It is him to decide who are going to attend my meeting.
But the constitution
But
is very
they
clear
will
on
not.
that.
But they will not. They cannot. If they cannot be called cabinet secretaries. So that means in all their meetings they will be considered as in attendance. Yeah. And the chair of the meeting can welcome anyone to be an in attendant, provided they can add value to their discussion. Provided they can keep the secrets, because cabinet is a secret combo. So they have a lot of secrets that if the president, who is the chair, trusts these people and he thinks they can add professional value. And you see now, do you know why they are bringing them? Because maybe he has found in his cabinet the people he appointed are not competent enough.
Yes.
But he needs them there for political purposes. But they are not competent enough to be able to deliberate issues to take this country forward. So it is coming from very far. You appoint incompetent people, then you bring competent people now as attachments.
Yes.
To help you.
The friends of cabinet. In court you have the friends of court.
Exactly.
Maybe they are friends of cabinet.
So they will come. But I'm telling you where the law will start working is number one, if they start calling them cabinet secretaries, because they are not. Two, in their minutes, there is no way they can call them attendants. They are in attendance. Yeah. And if the administration is wise enough, if they follow that, they will evade. Yeah, because you will say, these are people, they are my advisors, they advise me, then I take the advice to the... Actually, you see now they are exploiting some of the loopholes which were also left by...
Yeah, I think by the look of things, Mangicho and Daktari, the president is really following his predecessors' footsteps in managing the government.
Yeah.
True?
He wants to control.
Yeah.
Because you go there and you realize you have the design which is there, the framework does not fit your design. So he wants now to adjust it so that now he is able to play his cards.
Yeah, and in his quest maybe to do that, Daktari, because one of the things that maybe most Kenyans had actually maybe thought is that maybe the president, because we've seen the president actually trying as much as possible to influence parliament, and right now he has a very, very strong hand in the way maybe parliament operates, and maybe even in terms of maybe voting maybe for government businesses and so on and so forth. Maybe the other area that maybe people were wondering whether the president has already maybe got an influence on is the judiciary. And I remember even in the early years we would see him with some functions with the chief justice, that is Martha Koome. But now with this ruling by the High Court, what do you think as far as the independence of judiciary is concerned?
It is even actually now, he is now starting to see the reality of what we mean by judiciary. First of all, I don't think sometimes we misinterpret independence by meaning that they should not meet, they should not be seen together. You understand? Independence from that perspective is very narrow. They can even stay in the same house. They can even be friends. Let them go to weekends together.
Exactly.
But when
that does not necessarily mean that
either
party is compromised.
It doesn't mean that either party is compromised. Because it is just like the political part of it, what they do, if they see a person who is aligned, for example, to opposition with President Ruto, they think that that person has gone. I think we need to mature beyond that kind of thinking, such that president can be seen with Raila Odinga, and they still, when they part ways, they still cannot agree ideologically.
So there is nothing like the president now feeling he has been shortchanged.
I think
that you people
the president knew these two things. He knew, first of all, maybe he knew he was breaking the constitution. Because the constitution is the mother of law. We will not say law, because when we say he broke the law, legally he is right. Yeah. But now the mother of law, which is the constitution, when you touch it, then now you start now, even this other law now becomes subservient. Okay. So I think the president knew it, and maybe he thought no one would realize it, and therefore he will get away with it. Because if, I can tell you, if the Law Society of Kenya did not
wouldn't have taken,
court, if the Katiba Institute
wouldn't have gone
to court, we would have continued with life as normal.
Yes.
But they decided to do that, to go to court, so and that is why we are here. So maybe he thought, and you see, in governance and democracies we have, you can do something and then find a way of now kutuliza those people who can take legal actions. And if they don't take legal actions, you get away with it.
But going maybe by what some of his loyalists have actually commented even in the social media, like for example the senator of Nandi, that is Samson Cherargei, alluding to the fact that maybe the judiciary has ruled, maybe even trying maybe also to show that maybe they didn't even actually follow the law when they were actually making that particular ruling.
Cherargei is a lawyer.
Yes.
Cherargei knows that this thing could not go through. Yes. What he is doing is playing politics.
To the public.
Cherargei is just trying to intimidate the judiciary. It's just intimidation. He knows.
Not necessarily with the president's blessings.
Not necessarily with the president's blessings. Politics and also pleasing the president. But I don't think it will go beyond the next 4 days. We will not be talking about this. It will be forgotten. He will get a very bad advice if they appeal, because it will not work. They were pleased with the Supreme Court when Supreme Court actually upheld their victory. They were pleased by the court's judiciary when the judiciary actually did not uphold the BBI. It is the same thing. Be pleased also when your plan has been, especially on matters which are very clear.
Yes.
Even a non-lawyer, even someone doesn't need law even to interpret that. Yeah.
Let's get our reporter, that is Vincent Kimutai. In this particular show, we always also have Kenyans across the streets also giving some of their perspectives and some of their views as far as our discussion is concerned. And Vincent Kimutai also talked to Kenyans to get their opinions on what they think about the ruling by the High Court. Let us listen in. Karibu sana Vincent Kimutai.
Thank you, Mangicho Mola and Paul Kagi. And from your discussion, here I'll be speaking to Kenyans to find out their opinions concerning the decision of the High Court on Monday, ruling against the appointment of 50 chief administrative assistants. Yes, this is following the petition by the Law Society of Kenya, LSK, and Katiba Institute challenging the appointment process. And here, I'll be speaking to Kenyans to find out their opinions concerning the decision of the High Court on Monday. Sawa, anza kwa majina yako tueleze unaunga mkono uamuzi wa mahakama siku ya Jumatatu kutupilia mbali uteuzi wa makatibu watawala 50.
Ndio naunga mkono mahakama, and for once at least nataka kuona tumefika nguvu ya mahakama yetu iko na nguvu kweli ama it's just another iko hapo for publicity. So for once nataka kuona if vile wametupilia mbali hivi itachukuliwa maanani ama judiciary system yetu hayuko independent. That's what I want to see. And I hope tutaanza kuona democracy in our country.
Yeah. Wewe unafikiri kama hao mahakama ingeruhusu hao kuendelea na kazi yao ingekuathiri vipi, ikizingatiwa walikuwa 50 na kila mmoja angepokea mshahara wa 700,000 kila mwezi?
Already niko affected, so I don't understand why me as a taxpayer ndazidi kuongezewa mzigo mwingine yenye iko unconstitutional. Yeah.
Kwa majina yangu naitwa Samuel Kamau. Naipinga juu watu wanatufinyiria sana. So kama saizi unaona hakuna pesa, watu wamekauka, yani watu wamekaa tu hivi, mafuta imeongezewa. Sasa hebu niambie, tangu asubuhi, kutoka asubuhi mpaka saizi niko na 200 kwa mfuko na watoto wamegojea, wanataka kukula. Watakula nini? School fees ndio hiyo. Tafanya nini? Taenda wapi? Sasa
unapinga kwa makatibu?
Mimi hiyo napinga kabisa. Kabisa.
Kwa majina naitwa Luso Wangari. Naunga uamuzi wa mahakama kwa sababu huyo mtu mmoja mwenye ako hapo, mwingine wakatikati ni wa nini? Hiyo itabidi to deep as to pocket. Na kama kwa nyuma kwa familia mtu anashindwa, hii ingine ndio tutaweza. Wacha kukaa hivyo, walifanya vizuri kuamua hivyo.
Je, ushauri wako ni upi kwa serikali?
Ibaki venye iko. Hiyo pesa ya hatuna kulipa ya watu wawili kwa ofisi moja. Kazi kuna wenye wako chini ya CS, kuna PS, kuna nani. Wafanye hiyo kazi.
Kwa majina ni Samuel Kagiri Kanywa. Kulingana na venye mahakama iliamua jana kutupilia mbali hawa wadogo wa maminista walishaguliwa na Mr. Ruto, ilifuata katiba na ninaona ni hatua mzuri na tunasonga mbele vizuri. Juu hao watu walikuwa hata kwa kazi. Sasa ni venye tu washukua kama watu wake watafutie mahali, lakini hiyo sio njia ya kutafutia watu kazi. Ile njia anafaa kuwatafutia kazi nayo si ya kuruka katiba venye inasema. Anafaa kufuata katiba kama venye katiba ilisema ya 2010. Hiyo katiba ni mzuri sana ikifuatwa, lakini ikianza kufanyiwa hivyo watu wanaingizwa kazi na ili hali haijaweka hiyo nafasi. Tunaona tunafanyiwa dhuluma kubwa. Juu sisi kama wananchi ndio tunafanya kazi kama hizi za biashara dogo hasula na tunatoa tax. Lakini tax yetu ikienda na ile njia, si ni njia tunaona ni wanagawana pesa yetu bila kutuhusisha. Juu hizi nafasi hatuzitaki na watakapopeleka hiyo kesi mbele kwa mahakama hiyo iko juu kidogo, tuomba hiyo mahakama ya rufaa iweze kutupilia hiki kesi bali.
Haya, majina yangu ni Magdalene. Unajua wale walioteuliwa ni wale ambao wana uwezo. Ukiangalia wale ambao wameteuliwa the 50 ni wale ambao ni wako na pesa bado. Sasa ikiwa ile mshahara watapata itatoka hapa kwa hii kazi yangu ya dori, mimi ninapinga kabisa. Mimi ningeshauri serikali especially ya hasra juu si tulifanya kazi kubwa sana kuichagua. Kwanza mimi nilionekana kila pahali nikifanya campaign kwa sababu ya hasra, kwa sababu ukiangalia mimi mwenyewe ni hasra. Na mimi serikali ningewaambia kwamba especially president wetu Ruto na Rigathi Gachagua watu angalie sana kama Wanjiko. Juu kusema ukweli Wanjiko sisi ndio ambao tunaumia kwa hizi kazi tunafanya. Kwa sababu sasa kama hao wameteua the 50 tunawalipia mshahara na bado hii tax bado tunakato. Imagine hii doli moja sasa nitakato hiyo tax. Tunaona sasa hii kazi itaturemea na hatutaki kwenda kutangatanga, tunataka kufanya kazi.
Kwa majina naitwa Samuel Maina.
Unaunga mkono mahakama kutupilia mbali uteuzi wa makatibu ama hapana?
Sasa mahakama ni ile. Hata ikitupilia ama ikose kutupilia, hiyo ni bure tu. Sasa wengine wakikata rufaa watakubaliwa. Nao ndio serikali ni hii iko sasa.
Lakini sasa wewe kama Mkenya unafikiri ingekuathiri vipi kama mahakama ingeruhusu au wakiendelea kusimama katika nafasi hizo?
Mimi hainidhuru hata kidogo. Kuniadhiri kwangu.
Kuniadhiri kwa sababu kila katibu angepokea mshahara wa 700,000 na marupurupu juu yake.
Hiyo sio mbaya, serikali iko pesa, haitatuadhiri hata kidogo. Hata hiyo iko sawa. Pesa iko.
Majina yangu naitwa Nahashon Ngero. Kwa hiyo mahakama ilifanya maamuzi. Yule nilifanya maamuzi kitu mzuri. Sasa hii maisha tuko nini sana. Maisha ni ngumu sana. Serikali stahili kufanya kitu na kifua. Hapo tuliunga mahakama nini? mkono kabisa na waendelee kufanya hivyo. Juu sahii tuko chini sana kiuchumi.
Kwa majina naitwa Joseph Kamau. Kuhusu sasa msimamo ya koti, mimi naweza sema koti ilifanya vizuri. Juu kwa maisha yenye sahii tuko, at least hakuna pesa. Hata sijui pesa Ruto angetoa wapi. Lakini mimi naona iko sawa kabisa. Serikali naweza sema sahii si wakati wa kutengeneza viti. Hii ni wakati sasa wa kufanya ekonomi ya Kenya ikuwe at least stable.
Mangicho and Kagi, those are the opinions of the Kenyans concerning the decision of the High Court on Monday. In a ruling delivered on Monday by the judges Kanyi Kimondo, Hedwin Ogundi, and Alim Vizram, the court said the creation of additional 27 occupants did not adhere to the constitutional requirement of public participation. The 50 CS was sworn in by President William Ruto on March 23 after the National Assembly declined to vet them, saying it had no constitutional authority to do so. Subsequently, the judiciary said it did not preside over the swearing-in ceremony, noting that it did not send any official to State House to conduct the ceremony, that it has no role whatsoever in the process. Reporting for MBCI TV Mid-Morning Park, my name is Vincent Kimutai.
Well, thank you so much, our reporter there, Vincent Kimsai. Quite detailed their conversation and getting the opinions of Kenyans on also what they think. What are some of the opinions as far as the ruling by the High Court that these CS's positions are unconstitutional is concerned. And of course, Kenyans have pronounced themselves on this particular subject. Now, but Daktari, one thing that has come out, and maybe you can chip in on that, what do you think about this particular issue of if this CSs maybe were allowed, or in this particular case, if there was an opportunity maybe for them to continue with these particular positions, it would have been burdensome for the Kenyan taxpayers, because we had the Isaac Maora, I think he had also been given one of these particular positions, the CS position, but he said, I think he was interviewed by one media house, and he said that there is no way in which the CSs can actually maybe influence or affect the economy in any way. But according to what we hear in Kenya saying is that this is really going to be burdensome to them if they were actually going to occupy these particular positions.
Yeah, of course. If you listen to them, you realize now what the second president Mo used to say. At one particular time, when he created the term Wanjiku, he said Wanjiku does not know the constitution. I can tell you in 2023, Wanjiku knows the constitution. Yes. We are not where we were from the beginning. People also do not understand the impact of small things. Even in an ocean, the drops of water actually form that big ocean. We are talking about actually CSs, 50 of them, they are being paid using taxpayers' money. It means that money that could have been used elsewhere has been directed to paying some people who may not be, of course they could be necessary, but we should see the constitution allowing it, because it is the law of the land that people passed, and they said we want this one to govern us, so that we can have democracy, so that we can have our lives. So there is no way we can say even that extra person will have an impact on the kind of life that we are going to have. So there is no way you can, Maura can say at it is not going to affect us. He is just generalizing things and trying to say that we have an extra person. That is the person who will tell you even if 1 million is stolen, we will not feel the impact.
Maybe exactly also maybe what they're also saying is that if you were to go by now what is there at the moment, that they have been declared unconstitutional, do you really think that maybe we are not going to see life much better economically? And there's also one of the guys who was also interviewed there saying that, no, there is money in this particular country.
You know, there is something we call precedence. And that is what actually the courts try to guard us against. Even if it was one person unconstitutional, they could have nullified. We can say, oh, there is no impact, but the precedence that we are setting is like this camel that went to a person and say, can you allow me just to get the end in? You allow the hand, you allow the legs. At the end of it, you will realize this country will have no law, respect of law, and maybe years to come, you will realize politicians will misuse such loopholes. So it may not have bigger impact, of which I don't know, those who are arguing like that, but there is a precedence that we are setting.
Yes.
You see, the President Uhuru set a precedence, 23 CSs, but through some not so good public participation. Now, President Ruto has come with 50.
Yes.
If we don't prevent it from this point, the next president will come with 100. The next president will come with 1,000.
Yes.
At the end of it, they will even start adding the cabinet secretaries. At the end of it, this democracy will be so burdensome that now we will start now asking, where did the rain start beating us?
Exactly.
We will go back to where we failed to see the danger. Yeah.
But also, Daktari, there's an issue of the technocrats in our constitution, whereby the constitution dictates that we have the non-politicians to run the cabinet affairs.
Yeah.
But by the look of things, those people who are running our cabinet currently are politicians.
Yeah.
Don't you feel at that point we are going against the constitution?
Actually, in terms of that, this constitution stopped working after 2013 in terms of the issue of that administration. Not only cabinet secretaries, but also governors. You see, if you read that constitution well when it came, it had very good intentions. But we have been allowed. Actually, we set some precedences. The first cabinet that Ruto government formed, it had 2 politicians, and they said, no, these are a few. The others are technocrats. These are just a few, and they have even resigned from political parties.
Yes.
They have done this. They have done this. When the reshuffle was done, more politicians were added. By the time we are doing our elections in 2017, actually the cabinet was fully political. When the president was appointing now his cabinet after the re-election, it was all politicians actually running political parties. And no one was asking about it. So you can see this precedence. Now, by the time Ruto is coming now to form his government, politicians are resigning.
Yeah,
so that they become cabinet secretaries. So you can see now the precedence I was talking about. We started well. We allowed some actually camel to get their hands in. Now the camel is in the tent, and the camel is chasing us out of the tent.
I think that is what you are saying.
Yeah.
That if these things are not checked early enough,
yes,
they are going to open more doors, like the way talking about the camel.
Yeah.
And we may not be able to rescue the situation.
Yeah.
If maybe someone, the time that the former regime was appointing politicians in the cabinet, someone went to challenge that action.
Yes.
Maybe by today,
it would have worked.
Retracted back to the
exactly.
technocrats in the cabinet. But now it's too late.
It is too late, because now, look at the cabinet. Look at all those people who are actually in cabinet, most of them, they are the people who did the negotiations. We negotiate with you. Please, you are going for governorship, gubernatorial seat. So what you do, you step down, we allow this to go, then we'll give you CSs. That is what happened to Machogu, the one for education. He was supposed to be contesting, contesting for gubernatorial seat. It was negotiated. There is this other guy from Kisumu. The CS, is it for information? Yeah. All those people, so you look at those people and realize, who is it that was not campaigning? People thought the CS for health was away from politics. Where you get the photos of 2021, 2022, you find her in campaign trails. So at the end of it, you realize, of course it is a dilemma, Because if I think now the Constitution should review itself and realize it is very hard for a politician to work with the non-politicians. And that is why you realize even some people who are being brought even into politics, like Igade, it could not work. So we are still, I'm not saying they did the wrong thing to have politicians. Of course, they understand politics, and administration is about politics. Yeah. And it would have been even hard for a president who is a politician to work with the technocrats. Actually, that was one of the weaknesses. And that is why they try and they realize it cannot work. I need Kuria. Kuria is a politician. So Ruto needs Kuria. Ruto needs that other politician to work with. So I think as much as that one is concerned, we are not working in line with the Constitution. Okay. But no one has challenged that from the beginning. Two, even if you challenge it, actually politically it is impossible for a president who is a politician to work with pure technocrats, people who have no political ambitions.
But for you, do you feel the Constitution itself, which is advocating for technocrats, which would be the most effective way for our country? To have a cabinet with technocrats, or maybe to have politicians? Which one do you feel would be more effective to the development of our country?
Okay, there is effectiveness and there is efficiency. It is more effective to work with the politicians. More effective if you work with the politicians, because they know about politics. The regime is a political system. So to bring an outsider who is not a politician, there will be a lot of clashes here and there. They will not even be able to execute some political assignments that run politics. And I think to that point, the Constitution was weak. Working with politicians, I think it is the most efficient way for the president to work with, but not technocrats. If they are there, let them be like advisors, like David D. Now that can be okay. If they need to pump them into cabinet, like now President Ruto is doing, now pump them. But now as in attendance as advisors. Yeah. So that when you feel that the way they are advising you, maybe they are looking at it from a professional perspective, but it is going to have detriments in the political aspect, then you know how to play it. But
and actually what Kagi is saying there, because I know there's been that particular debate, especially now when it comes to, yes, if these cabinet secretaries, they are politicians, there has been the question of how competent are they in terms of actually being in a position to know what is it that is demanded of the ministries, or of those portfolios that they're actually overseeing. And of course, there are those who have excused them, saying that for the cabinet secretaries, even if they are not that competent, doesn't matter. We have the principal secretaries, and maybe even now the debatable CSs.
And you see the committee of experts, the one which was led by Nzamba Kitonga, they assumed, they made an assumption which is not true. They made an assumption that if you are a politician, you are not a professional. You understand? Of course, that used to be there. So when we argue, if we argue that politicians have no capacity to run ministries as cabinet secretaries, what we are saying, we are assuming that all politicians are not professionals. You see that? And that was the weakness of that structure. Because we have politicians who are professionals, who can do very well. Actually, even most of them actually come outside the politics, and they come as professionals, and they are able to also, they are called politicians. And that is where I think the weakness can be. So we cannot really say that a politician cannot run a ministry well. most of them are professionals. For example, Kipchumba Murkomen is a lawyer. He's been running, of course, I know his law is in an environment and that kind of a thing, but he's a professional.
He's a professional, sure.
Under all the whatever. But there, you also realize in the 1990s, previously, and I think that is how they tried to think, there were politicians who were not competent enough. But also you see, to cure this constitution trying to pump now the professionals or technocrats as PSs. But I wanted to tell you, go and analyze the PSs. They are politicians. Actually, they are now
even the PSs.
Those are the people who failed in politics.
Yes.
They are there as PSs.
So, Dr. What would you say, therefore? There is something that I also gathered from the Vox Pops, the opinions that Kenyans gave of our reporter Vincent Kimutai, and one of them was talking about that those who had been given these particular positions are already in a position, maybe we can actually say they are well, or maybe they are in a position to cater for their needs. These are people who have worked, these are people who have had positions, these are people who have actually gotten maybe what we can actually refer to as sufficient maybe economic opportunities and so on and so forth. The issue of, even as we talk about the authenticity of these particular CSs, most Kenyans had really expected that maybe the names of those who we'd have seen are names of people maybe who would not have been used
coming from Marigoine.
Yes. Marigoine. But apparently, it's like those who are given these particular positions are still the same people we've been seeing in the political corridors. And Kenyans were like, oh, well, is this really the government that we had really expected, the government of the hustlers? They're actually saying that we didn't see even one hustler as a CS.
Yeah, because this is not a socialist. You know, that is socialist thinking. We are a capitalist country. Capitalism, democracy cannot work in a socialist system. Democracy works in a capitalist system. Capitalism is about majority actually ruling over the minority. The rich ruling over the poor. Those who have ruling over, if you work hard, you gain. If you don't work hard, you lose. Now, the reason why socialist thinking cannot work in a democracy like this, of course, you look at many factors. So, if you are poor, most likely you will not be a professional. Actually, poverty denies people an opportunity to go to that level that they can acquire skills to manage even things. Yeah, of course, poverty is, as they say, is a state of mind. So the poorer you are, the less the chances you have even to be exposed at a higher level. So there is no way Ruto can come and get cabinet secretaries from the street of Nakuru. Number two, any person who is
even if they are competent, even if they are qualified.
What are they doing here if they are competent? You understand?
They will not get the opportunity.
What are they doing here? You know, I want you to get, for example, there are some people in government who actually are not educated. You understand?
Yes.
How did Kalembe Ndile, all, Bufolo Wakoli, all some other people we know, I don't want to mention them names, how do they rise from being, for example, someone is a hawker, but they rise up to becoming a cabinet secretary? It means there is something in them that made them rise to that level that they can be visible. Whereas there is a professor who is down here, also educated, capable, but they are down. It means their ability politically in that capitalist system cannot allow them. They needed to do something extra. That person has done something extra to be able to be there. And you realize maybe they are not educated, but they are there. How did they rise? It means, you know, natural selection happens in society. society chooses in a balanced way. It raises some of them who are higher in some aspects and drops others. So there is always the balance. But all in all is that if you have no money, if you have no wealth, there is no way you can sit with capitalists. They cannot sit with you if you have nothing to show. Yeah. And that is why you realize when President Ruto wants to appoint people, he appoints people he has worked with, people who have risked with them, people who have raised themselves to his level. They can say, I want to meet you, President. How do I meet you? You are doing a campaign. I want to give you 10 million. What do you do? Are you educated? No, class 6 dropout. But I have a business, I can give you 10 million, then we start talking. I fund you a campaign, then we talk later.
So the hustler narrative is still elusive?
No, hustler narrative is a narrative.
It remains it.
It's a narrative. It's a narrative. It's a political narrative. It was like the digital and analog narrative of 2013.
Daktari, you are opening a very serious lead there.
Yeah.
Regarding the way to climb to maybe the political class is giving us a very unique philosophy.
Yeah, it is. That is how capitalists societies work. Yes. We are in a democracy. Democracy can only thrive in a capitalist society. And if you look at those countries that decided not to follow that, look at Tanzania. Tanzania, Nyerere decided, no, we are going socialist way, and for this case, African socialism. Actually, even to today, Tanzania has never recovered. You go to Tanzania, you ask for tea, unasema uongezewa na kuambia, utamalizia mwenzako. They don't believe in, I can make maximum profit. So, capitalism is our ideal. We are in a capitalist society. We need to think capitalistic. Otherwise, we will keep blaming the president. And you realize even if another one comes, they work like that because that is how capitalist societies work. That is why we are saying, if you are elected by majority, even if you are bad, you become president. It is not about the socialist ideals. You must be this, you must be this. The chapter 6 of the Constitution is neither here nor there. It
is neither here nor there. Now, Daktari, as we draw to the conclusion of this particular discussion, now, President Ruto is now faced, of course, that is a backlash that he has gotten from the court. And of course, again, on Friday, the Azimio side are going back to the street. Their main issue is the finance law that was already passed in Parliament. What are some of the dynamics that you're going to see in the coming days?
Going to the streets is a populist move. It will not work. They are late. The Azimio are late. They should have won the election. They lost the election.
Maandamano is losing its grip.
Maandamano cannot work in this situation. Why? Because, first of all, they are not doing it for money.
Is it because Kenyans are not coming out?
No. I think they are doing it for their own political scores. They are not doing it because the prices are...
The first time they said it had effect, the price of unga went down, only to climb up again.
It did not. The effect that those Maandamano did were it left 10 people dead. That is the only impact that we can see, we saw down here. The impact we saw down there was the government trying to loosen some things they were doing. They were saying, we will tax you, we will expose you, all those things. Zikaisha. That is the impact up there. It was actually consensual. It was actually to the benefit of them. They know what they are pursuing. So there is no way
it's purely their own.
It is purely their own, I can tell you.
Like for example, what does Baba want out of this?
If you read the history since 2007, it is predictable what he wants. You know, yesterday he said this government, and he has been saying the government of William Ruto is illegitimate. But it's the same thing he said in 2017, that this government is illegitimate. It remained illegitimate until in March 2018 when he got some slot. I can tell you Ruto government will always be illegitimate before Raila Odinga, but it can be legitimized very easily if we can bring him on board.
Yes.
So what was he fighting for? If it was illegitimate from the beginning, it should be legitimate even when he is inside. You get? So it sends a different message, and it is predictable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think it will do to him now that you're saying that it might not have the effect, but we've seen him, and it's looked like now Mandamano has remained to be the main tool that Baba is using.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out for him, what does it do for him?
It will have impact. People are going to die. What the Mandamano is looking from my side is to find a way of doing negotiations, whatever negotiations they are negotiating. And there are no negotiations that can be done without the shedding of blood. Yeah.
And also, there is an issue that is coming up. An MP who is bringing a proposal, maybe to manage the Mandamano. You know, if you want to demonstrate, you have to give this notice. If you destroy property, you have to pay. How do you feel about that proposal, that bill, which is about to come in Parliament?
It's a good proposal, but they should know that if they make it with emotions, if they make those proposals under emotions, and they think they are trying to tame Raila Odinga tomorrow will not be there, but that law will be there. It will eat them when they are on the other side. You see, the office of the Prime Minister in the coalition government was in charge of the constitutional things. And one of the things actually they allowed was to have, if a person is number 2, they should stay outside.
Yeah.
Most people argue that it was very clear to Raila Odinga that he was to be president, and he didn't want an opposition closer to him. But towards 2022, there arose 2 men from ICC who came, and they started campaigning, and his dream started fizzling. And then they unfortunately won the election, and whatever he had crafted for other people befell him. How see now? And that is why he is insisting, we revise this thing. Let us go back to the settings. Yes. But you were there.
Yeah.
Now the same thing, even with the Uhuru, what Uhuru did when he was trying to create a very strong link between him and Parliament. He created some ways where the president can interfere with the Parliament and have them admarshal. He thought by doing that maybe he will take every other person and maybe tame President Ruto. It went. It was okay for him. It worked for him. But now when Ruto comes now, he finds it very easy because it has a precedence. I can fish your politicians, all of them, and I have a precedence.
Yes.
Yeah. So then I can guide them on how to do.
Yes.
I can direct them such that if I say there is no secret ballot,
exactly.
There is no secret ballot. Where did I get it? You did it. The other president did it. Yeah. So such that now he can interfere even with the democracy and the standing orders in Parliament, and there is nothing he can do. So even as they do that, they need to be very careful, knowing that if they are doing it to hurt Raila Odinga, tomorrow they will be in that
What about now for the president, with most Kenyans, even as we've watched, being against the appointment of the CSs. And of course, they know very well that is the president, and they think the president actually did wrong. They feel that they have been betrayed. With the passing of the finance law, that most Kenyans also believe is going to be painful as far as economic welfare is concerned. Does it dent his 2027 chances?
It will not. It will not dent his 2027 chances. But I think what they are doing now is actually either they want to continue with the appeal, or the president has sat his people down and told them there is nowhere you are going. You know, one way of running a country politically is to if you want to run the country against the structures, especially those which are put by law, is to look for loopholes where they are. So it's they will identify loopholes and fix those people.
The 52 of them?
Yes. So that now the Constitution...
They are not going to be jobless. There is nothing like the 52 of them becoming jobless.
No.
Yes.
They will be fixed somewhere.
Someone will have to be somewhere, somehow.
Either way, you will be eaten.
With the same amount of salary?
Yes.
Wow.
There's something that Cherargei was saying
They just have
yesterday.
to evade the watchman, and our watchman is.
And someone will go to court.
No, there are some ways that you can create positions and no one can go to court if it does not contravene the
Constitution.
The Constitution.
Kagi, we are pressed for time.
What we're saying is that there are no political implications.
Yes.
The president loyalist in our government will be given the opportunity to serve in other capacities.
Yes, you see.
They'll serve in other capacities.
Yeah.
They are very sure.
Yeah.
That is why I saw some of them saying we are just relaxing.
Yeah, we are relaxing.
Dr. Michael Ndonye, a lecturer and also a political analyst, we want to appreciate you so much for your time.
Thank you.
In the Mid-Morning Park. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you.
Making
Thank you
insights and making sense in this particular set.
Yeah.
Thank you so much also for making time to be with us in today's conversation. At least you have some light as far as this particular ruling is concerned. Of course, we'll do it again next week at a time like today's. My name is Mangicho Mola. Enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Yes, I want to thank you for finding time to be able to follow us this Wednesday. My name is Paul Kagi. Once again, I wish you a blessed Wednesday.